Hello, welcome to Board Game Bonkers. I'm Jay Sears, and today we're going to take a look at 10 board games that are better than Clue, also known as Cluedo in the UK. Now, this is a classic board game, and I've fond memories of this when I was a kid, and I remember trying to solve it, and you put the culprit in the envelope along with the weapon and motivation. And I really liked how this worked, but obviously today games have developed and progressed over time. But we've got a couple of kind of classics that have been revamped into modern gaming on this list here. And I wonder from this top 10 list if you recognize any of these. And if you like Clue or Cluedo, then I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy lots of the games on this list, which I think are better and much better implemented into today's board gaming market. Before we get started into the top 10, please do consider subscribing to the list. And did you know 98% of you who look at my videos aren't subscribed? Why not? It's free to do so. Pause the video, subscribe. It'll take you 2 seconds maybe. So with that in mind, please give our videos a like as well if you enjoy them. And with that out of the way, let's head into our top 10. Now let's talk about the first one, which is number 10. We're going to go in order of our preference in 10. What we think are the better ones at number 1 and higher up, and the ones that are perhaps not as good as the top end, but they are all still better games than Clue. Starting at number 10, we have Stop Thief. Now, Stop Thief uses an app. So it uses a more innovative way of trying to stop and find the thief. So what you'll be doing is you'll be listening carefully to the clues that are in the app through sounds, and that will determine the suspect's whereabouts. And what you're doing, you then utilize cards that you have in your unique deck, and that lets you move around the board rather than using dice. So you'll be able to, use this card to slip through a window, for example. Now, what you'll be doing is trying to narrow down where the suspect is located, and then you have to go in and arrest them. So it's really smart in how it uses the app. And this was an old game back in 1979, and they've completely revamped it. You integrated in use of the app and also used cards to move around the board. I really like how this is done. It's quite clever and smart. So check it out if you haven't already done so. If you like Clue, I think you'll enjoy this. This is a slightly different and I think better way of doing it. And moving on to our number 9, if you are into small, quick, kind of mystery type games, you might like this one. This is 5-minute mystery, and it probably takes about maybe 10 minutes to play. But you could put it in 5 minutes if you know the game well. So what do you do in 5-minute mystery? So what you'll be doing is you'll be going into this case with clue cards. You'll be looking at the clue cards, and you'll be listening to the app to hear clues. So very similar to Stop Thief, except you're not moving around the board. You're looking at the clue cards, and you're trying to decipher by looking at what the symbols are, enter them into the app to see if you solve the puzzle. So it's got a kind of escape room type of feel to this. And it's very quick, but that's what I love about it. It takes 5-10 minutes. You want a quick game. I certainly check that one out. This is why it's on my list. I don't think it's as in-depth or as difficult as some of the others, but it's quite clever in trying to comprise and put that together in just a 5-minute game. I really like how they've done that. So let's move into a number 8. And this is a little bit more of a mystery type of investigatory type of game. I really like it, Obscurio. And in Obscurio, what players will be doing is you'll be trying to escape by looking at clues, and then you'll be trying to figure out, okay, from this spell book, how can we escape the library? And what they'll be trying to do is stop you from escaping. Now, what you have to do is there is a hidden traitor. So that hidden traitor will be working against the rest of the group. So you're going to figure out, okay, what can we do? How can we figure out who it is? You won't know usually it's about 3/4 way through and you're still trying to escape. Well, the hidden traitor is trying to stop you from escaping. It's quite clever in how they've done that. And I really like this. It's kind of a twist on, rather than trying to find who has killed so-and-so or who the culprit is, instead you're trying to find out who the hidden traitor is, because you want to obviously only look and listen to the clues that the other players are giving you to try and escape. I like it. It's fun. Next on my list, number 7 is Mysterium. Now, Mysterium, again, is a kind of mystery type of game. And what you'll be doing is very similar in some ways to Clue, but it has quite an intriguing twist. And you are obviously at this Mysterium Manor, and where this horrendous crime has happened on the grounds. And what you're going to do, you're going to collaborate to kind of try and find the mystery of what has happened. And one player, this is clever, is privy to all the truth of what is happening. They provide clues, almost a bit like a little ghost giving clues, using image cards to try and guide other players to find solutions. It's really clever. If you're familiar with games like Dixit and those type of games, it uses those kind of very well done cards that look beautifully done, and you're given clue cards and forms mostly of pictures, looking at what can I give the team to try and guess and figure out what's happened in this mysterious manner. It's really smart. I like how it's done it, and it certainly has that kind of dark, almost mystery, kind of almost ghost-like feeling to it. So let's move in to a number 6, and this is more for kids and families if you're looking for that type of game, and this is The Key. Particularly the theft at Cliff Rock Villa. There's a couple in the series, and what will be happening, there will be some keys you're going to try and find. You're going to solve this puzzle, and what you'll be doing is lots of cards laid out on the table in a circle, and you'll be taking cards, and they'll give you clues, and you'll be able to then work out from your board and mark off what is not relevant, and try and then decipher and find out what the final clue is. You then pick up the key that's available and slot it into this board, and you'll be turning it around to see whether you crack the code or not. It's fairly straightforward. There are 3 different types to solve, which can be a little bit tricky for younger players, and there's a lot of deciphering in terms of the information we've got. Do I take a card that's got CCTV? Do I take a card that's going to give me a clue of a fingerprint? Do I take a card that's going to let me know about the time the culprit has escaped? You're trying to find out who, when, where, what they stole, what they left in. So there's quite a lot of information to try and gather. Least amount of cards you take as evidence, the more points you will gain. So there's not necessarily a time limit in how and when you solve this. But it's certainly more akin to families to get involved in this type of game. But if you like that kind of mystery deciphering game, you might enjoy this because you're not moving around the board. Instead, you're just grabbing cards, as many as you need, to try and decipher the code to find out who's done what, where, when. There's 3 different ones to give you the final code. Quite clever, but it's a lot more thinkier than you think. Moving into a number 5, this is more of an escape room type of game-esque, and this is now number 5, Unsolved Case Files, particularly Jane Doe we'll talk about because that's one of the most popular. So what will happen is you'll get this case file in a bag, and you'll have all these evidence and clues, and you're trying to decipher and work out what happened to her. So it's basically got a sense of being a real detective. And what you'll be doing is looking at all this evidence, your documents, photographs, witness statements, all of that, and trying to piece them together to find the clues to then find out what happened. It certainly has got that escape room type of feel to this, but if you like Clue in terms of that detective style of game, then you might enjoy this. Let's move into number 4, and that is Rear Window. And Rear Window certainly can say and argue it's based on the film. Yes, Hitchcock films, if you like those, you might like this. So what do you do in Rear Window? Now, it's fairly straightforward. What you'll be doing is there'll be a role of a director, because it's almost like you're creating this film, Hitchcock film, and you'll be strategically laying out these cards to provide subtle hints to what's known as watchers, the other players. And then what you'll be doing is unfolding these events across essentially this alley and laying them out. And then the watchers, the other players, will have to collaborate to uncover the truth behind the mystery of what's happening. So who committed what crime, for example. So it's certainly got that mysterious kind of suspense to it and detective feel. No board, just cards. Really like how they've implemented this. Let's move in to a number 3. And this is one of the most fantastic games I have played. This is Deception, Murder in Hong Kong. And this has certainly got an adult theme to it, so I certainly wouldn't have young children play it. And this has won an excellent award from the Dice Tower. It really is a fun game, and always kind of game you'd have a group of your friends round, and then solving this mystery, although technically people have different roles. So what do you do? I've covered this in other videos, so I'll quickly cover it now. Now, what you'll be doing is you'll be investigating this kind of chilling twist, if you like, that has been a murderer among you. So you're trying to find out who the murderer is. So each player has a role. They're all different roles. You might be the forensic scientist, you might be a witness to several witnesses, you might be an investigator, you might be the murderer, you might be the accomplice. So while the investigators try and uncover the truth of what's happening, the murderer's team are going to try and deceive and mislead them. So it's kind of this battle, psychological battle. And then what happens is the forensic scientist has all the solutions, but they can only convey the clues using these special scene tiles that are laid out, leaving the investigators and the murderer, of course, to interpret the evidence. It's quite funny how they've done this. I really like it. I've covered this in other videos, which I'm not going into as much detail, but this is one of the best kind of almost party style, not quite party style, but almost one of those kind of detective fun feel factors games that I've played. I really enjoy this. I thought this is fantastic, and some of the components look great as well. Don't want to give too much away, just go and check it out. A full review of this, I definitely highly recommend it. So let's move in to a number 2. This is Awkward Guests. Now, Awkward Guests is a little bit old now, but it's still a really good game. Now, if you enjoy Clue, I think you will really enjoy this because it has a kind of almost familiar feel in some senses. You've got a shield that each player has, and then you're marking off your clues, a bit like what you do at Cliff Rock Villa. The key, so very similar. Now, there are over 3,000 possibilities, so that's a lot. And there are 7 different difficulty levels. I like how they've done that. Now, the core kind of mechanic of this is quite straightforward, because each player has a hand of 6 cards. Now, each card provides a specific piece of information and worth different points about the various subjects. Now, on your turn, what you do is you select 2 different references you're curious about and then ask related information. Now, the other players can offer you cards containing, obviously, the information you need and the references to it. And then you can acquire these cards, obviously, by offering points to get the cards to give you the evidence. It's quite clever how they've done this, and there's a little twist on how this works. Do I want that card, but I'm giving away these points? Quite clever, I really like that. Moving into our number 1 then, and this is Decrypto. And arguably this is taken over some of the other classic and well-known, more modern type of games. And Decrypto is about deciphering a code, and it has a kind of almost party feel game to this. So what do you do in Decrypto exactly? Well, what you'll be doing is you have 2 different teams, and you'll be competing to try and decipher this code. Okay, so each team uses a screen to hide this 4-word cards that are numbered from 1 to 4 from the other player. Now, one team member, what they'll do is they'll draw this code card with 3 numbered digits, and then they provides a code message using words only from the team's cards. Now, what the teammates need to try and do is guess the correct code based on the message, but there's a little twist because the other team can intercept that code. So what you'll be trying to do is make sure the other team doesn't intercept and get the code, and making sure your teammates understand the code you're giving them to then decipher it. It's quite challenging, but it's quite smart how they've done. If you're familiar with code names, you'll be familiar with this, and arguably this is better than code names, although it's really enjoyable. Now that brings us to the end, but you're probably wondering, well, why haven't you involved games such as Detective? Well, that's probably a little bit heavier than what some other players would enjoy. And there are a couple of other games like Clue that have more of a detective feel to it. So yes, I could have added games like Detective on the list, but I chose not to because I felt it would have been a little bit outside of Clue, but you could argue the other way around as well. But check that out as well if you're interested. I hope you've enjoyed this, and please do consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already done so, especially the 98% of people who watch my videos and don't subscribe. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything. Hit it. And please give our videos a like if you've enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments as well. Any of these games you've tried, if you enjoyed them? Are you a fan of Clue? And perhaps you've got some suggestions as well. Then perhaps there's some games that we've missed off the list that you would recommend others check out as well. Whatever it is, we'd love to hear from you. And that brings us to end. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Jay Sears. Until next time, take care.
This is Bonkers.